All right, we'll go ahead and we'll get started with the town hall. And like I said, I'm gonna do like a little opening monologue, hit some high points on what we're going to discuss, and then after that, we'll open the floor up for try to answer as many questions as we can. But let me start by saying Monday night at City Council, while I was actually at the Union Hall on my way down there. Have been talking with Hefner all day, Matt from the police. The plan was for me to speak to the council live in person. They changed me to virtual, so I stayed at the Union Hall and spoke virtually. We do have an audio clip of that we'll be putting out this week, so you guys can hear what we spoke on. But more importantly, I wanted to say it was really cool to see and hear how many people showed up. That's the kind of collective action it's going to take for us to get things done. Being in a union is it's a participation sport. Just like all of you are on this call today, we have to take an active role when it comes to whether it's asking for pay, benefits, health insurance, more equipment, better trucks, like all of that stuff. It takes all of us working together. It takes all of us working as one, speaking with a unified voice. And that was really cool to see. And so I really do, man, I can't say enough. I know everybody couldn't be there. I know a lot of people watched online. So that was cool to see. Hopefully we can start moving forward, do more of that. Even if it's just all of us, whether it's emailing council, emailing the decision makers, we'll work on that going going in the future. But it was really good to see. The other thing I want to say, and I know a lot of people were online yesterday. I know my phone blew up regarding, and this will lead to the talking about the unvaccinated policy. I know Chief Scaris got on the Bravest Facebook page and made a statement. And let me say this. You could sense his frustration. I think all of us are frustrated right now with the lack of information that's being shared by the city. And the fact that he did that, I think shows that he does care and that he's trying something. So I mean it when I say I think that was pretty cool of Chief Scaris. We can debate the medium. I don't think that was maybe the best platform. I mean, that's something that probably could have been addressed with that's the kind of stuff that I would hope, as we move forward, just as we're doing today, we can all work together and we can do messaging. And like that message should go out to the whole fire department. That message should go out to like everybody, because not everybody's on Facebook. Some people, even if they're on it, they may have missed it. If we have misinformation going out there, which all of us have been firefighters long enough to know, we're notorious for misinformation, and a lot of times it's not intentional, and I want to be clear with that. But again, I just want to say that it shows that he does care, and it was just cool to see that you can sense that sometimes that they get as frustrated as the firefighters. And if you talk to people at the staff meeting now, it was pretty obvious there was a lot of frustration with that. So now on to the unvaxxed policy, and that's what we're going to call it today, because this is not a testing, at least from what we're hearing about it, it's not just testing that this is going to cover. This is going to cover many things regarding unvaccinated employees. Now, I want everybody to keep in mind that while we talk about this, it's going to be very hard to get into specifics, because at the end of the day, the bottom line is there is no policy yet. I know a lot of people have asked like what the union's stance is. Is the union going to get an attorney? Are we going to get a legal opinion? Well, we may do all of that, but we can't do it until there's an actual policy. One of the hardest things to preach to firefighters, I think, and people in general, is patience. It's not really in our mindset a lot. But again, this is one thing. Again, on our closed Facebook page, if you're not a member, get up with an e-board member. We can make you a member. And I know I talked earlier about that's not the best way to get information out, but it is a medium to get information out. And so we try all avenues, and we're going to put all this out in a newsletter too for everybody. But I emailed Assistant City Manager Cagle this morning. And actually, the union does share the fire department's frustration with this, that it's kind of unacceptable that we're less than a month away from a major policy and we have no information. As you guys know, or as everybody knows, when this came out, even the way it was unrolled, we learned via Twitter, and there was no policy at a council meeting. That's not how you roll policies out. I mean, the policy should have been in place where people could ask questions. And here we are less than 2-3 weeks away from this policy going into effect, and there is no policy. So it's going to be, it's going to put us behind the 8 ball to ask questions, to change questions, or to get things changed. And make no mistake, this is either done deliberately or it's a total display of ineptness. This pandemic has been going on for, almost 2 years now. You would think we're the first city in the country to do some testing policy. So the fact nothing's out, like I said, it's either being done deliberately or it's just total ineptness, and it may be a combination. And again, this is coming from the city. This is not a fire department policy, so I don't want anyone to misconstrue that. But I do want everybody to keep in mind, this is how the city operates. And when you keep that in mind, it speaks to how they think of you. And I know a lot of people don't like when we say that stuff and we say we're taking shots, but this is a teachable moment. At the end of the day, this is what they think. Now, while we don't know the policy yet, we do know some of the framework of the policy. And when you put not just they're only talking about the unvaccinated being tested. And then you couple that with the fact that if you were unvaccinated, you weren't eligible for the wellness fitness stuff. And then they're talking about, now, when I talked to the assistant city manager a couple weeks ago, he was clear that this was going to be off duty and this was going to be done at the employee's expense. And when you put all that together, and then when you look where we're at in the pandemic, 2 years into it, these measures, if this was about safety, these measures should have been in place 18 months ago or 12 months ago. But they're putting them in place now. It is clear that this is nothing more than a way to punish people that made the decision not to be vaccinated. But keep in mind, the city gave you that choice. So they gave you the choice whether you wanted to get vaccinated or not. Now they're going to punish you for making that choice. That's what they think of you. All right. So again, and two, when you look at this strand of the virus, it appears, and I say appears because I'm not a doctor, I'm an EMT, like a lot of you. When you look at this strand of the virus, it appears to be a lot more contagious, but also the symptoms seem to be milder. Now, are we for safety? Absolutely. It's the number one priority of this union. Again, the last thing we want to do is bury another brother or sister firefighter or one of their family members because of this virus. But at the same time, if this was about safety, we would be testing everybody. Again, with this strand of the virus, it has shown that vaccinated people can get it. There has been numerous cases of not just vaccinated people getting it, but vaccinated with a booster getting it. So I think we have to look at this strand a little different. And again, if this was about safety and the health and safety of our brother and sister firefighters, we would be testing everybody. We would have a blanket policy, an all-encompassing policy that addressed everything. And from the start of this, the union called for, as you know, we were for choice and we were for testing, but we were also for limiting in-person events. We asked them to close the training academy when all this was going on. But we did ask for more in battalion training. Don't stop training, but just do it in-house and do it that way. Those are things that would have protected people. But they never did that. And then here we are now, they're not putting any of those measures in place, or at least we're not hearing about it yet. The things that have been discussed, and again, I spoke with Assistant City Manager Cagle, none of this stuff was mentioned. It was all about testing and the other thing. So some people have asked, is the union just changing its stance just to fight because we want to fight? And I don't think we are at all. I think we're following the science. And again, What the science tells us is that this strand appears to be a lot more contagious, but a lot milder symptoms. And if it was about safety, we would test everybody, because we know for a fact, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that vaccinated people can carry this, they can get it, and they can give it to other people. So that's a little bit on that. And again, there is no policy yet, but from what we're hearing, we're trying to address these things and to be prepared. You know, all of us are in the fire service, and what do? In everything we do, we prepare for the worst, we hope for the best. So, you know, we are preparing, but people have asked, have we reached out to attorneys yet? There's nothing to give an attorney. And once you start talking to attorneys, you're on the clock. It's billable hours. So until we actually have a policy we can share with them, you know, we're prepared, but we're just trying to get things in place. We're trying to reach out to council members, speaking with city leadership, trying to get answers. The answers are just not there. They're not giving out anything. We are totally against this lack of transparency. Employees and employee groups should have a seat at the table. These things affect our members. They affect your families. And unlike city leadership, we know each other, we live with each other, and we care about your families. And so that's why we should have a seat at the table to make sure that your voice is heard. And again, Monday night was a good way, a step to do that. So for this portion, that's all I'm going to say about that. We're also going to talk about the callback policy. I had to think of the name of it real quick. The mandatory callback policy, and we have reached out to some people on that. There are some real issues we have with that. Again, we already work the longest hours in the city. The longest. No one works the amount of hours we do. Right now, we're currently working a 56-hour work week because our Kelly numbers are canceled. Typically, we work a 52. So we've already canceled off time. While that's going away in January, they're going to replace it with a policy that requires us to be on call for several numbers 4 weeks out of the year. And they were very careful in how they parsed their words to try to skirt the law, where they said that they didn't say you would be on call. They said you would be ready for duty. And sisters and brothers, that is nothing more than parsing of words. So again, we already work the longest hours in the city, 2,700 hours a year we're scheduled for. We work nights, we work weekends, we work holidays. And this policy doesn't affect anybody that works 40 hours. And that's not a slam on a 40-hour week employee. It is what it is. That's just calling it like it is. So now you're going to put more on us. And they're not going to pay you for it. They're going to tell you you can't leave town, or you have to be able to come into work. And then let's look at how we did this. We were asked to give input in was it June or July, and people gave input. One of the division chiefs told his battalion chiefs that, and again, this is their words, not mine, that there was no appetite from the administration for the input that was being put in. And when you look at the policy, it kind of shows. So when you look at the Kelly numbers and pairing the standby with the Kelly numbers, is it easier? I can't argue that. I think that's the only reason done is because it was easier. But look what it did to you as a worker. How many times have you paired your Kelly number with someone else's Kelly number to get 24 hours off? So if you want to go on vacation, a quick trip to the mountains, to the beach, your kids maybe on a travel sports team, or have an event out of town, so you just swap Kelly numbers with people. So you could get 24 hours off and have 6 days off. Well, now you can't do that because now your standby time is tied to your Kelly number. Again, we work more than anybody. Sometimes when you look at policies, it tells you what they think of you. And again, we talked in a couple of videos ago we made where we said that we realize we have to be part of the solution. There's a staffing issue. There's a staffing, and it's of no fault of the employee. We're not responsible for hiring people. All right. But we do have to be part of the solution. And the way this is done, it's like, hey, you guys can all be part of the solution, but there's nothing in it for you. We're not going to pay you. They could have done things like we had talked about. We had made suggestions about doing a vacation buyback every year. That way, and do it in December. That way people had incentive not to use vacation time, maybe swap a little more time. There are cities like Raleigh that pay double time and a half on the holidays. And then when people are getting double time, they don't sign up for vacation. That helps alleviate the stress of, people taking those peak holiday things because you're rewarding the employee. And you look at that. So now you're going to be asked for 3 weeks minimum. Some people 4 weeks. You're going to be on standby where you can't just run to the beach. You can't just go to the mountains. You go see your kid's event. That's not counting. If you're a firefighter 1, they're going to ask 26 days of unpaid training from you. Again, man, it's this. And the other question we are going to ask, so we did send the policy off to be looked at. One of the other real issues is we're going to get a legal opinion, but they were saying if you don't call, they're going to charge you sick time. I'm going to preface this with I'm not 100% positive, but if you're not on duty, you can't take someone's sick time. You would have to put that person on duty and pay them to be able to do that. There is a policy very similar to this, but we are getting that checked out legally. So we are going to get, dot our I's, cross our T's on this. Like I said, the wording was done intentionally, parsing words to try to skirt the law. We are going to have the FLSA checked on this. There was a very similar policy in California. They did it. Well, once the lawsuit went through, they had to go back and pay everybody $15 an hour for all the hours they were on call. And it's just mind blowing that there were numerous suggestions made, not just from this union, but from firefighters across the department, and all of them were ignored. And what we got was what we got. But again, we are going to have to wait for the legal interpretation to come back from that. But I know just hearing from you, no one's really happy about it. And regardless of the legality, I just think it's just wrong on every level possible. That, again, at no point in that policy is there a give back to the employee to reward you for stepping up. This workforce has been nothing short of exceptional the last 2 years, working extra hours, working overtime, being forced to train off duty if you're a firefighter 1, and nothing is given back in return. And when we look at how the city runs this, that's the part to me that really bothers me. I think it's immoral. I think it's just wrong on every level. And I think it's why it's more important now that we have a strong union, that we can speak with one voice to make sure our voice is heard with counsel on these matters. The only thing else I'm going to say before we log off to the social media, and the only reason we're logging off on the Facebook Live thing, is because once we get to the question and answer period, you're not going to be able to hear the questions, and I'll try to be focused answering them. All of us, myself included, all of us, please be very careful. Be cognizant of what you are putting on social media. You are leaving a digital footprint, and of what you say. So always, we want to be here to protect you, but it's not always the best platform. It's the easiest platform to get messages out. We're actually using it today. We use it all the time, but it's not always the best way to deliver a message. And sometimes you just got to think about what you're saying and don't put it out there where it can come back and be used against you. So, with that said, for the people watching, go down on the Facebook thing, the season greetings thing with the snowman. There's a link there to call in our video into the town hall. So I'm going to switch this off now. We'll give it a minute in case anybody transfers over, and then we're going to open the floor for questions. Hey, so for those on Facebook, thanks. Stay safe. Stay union, stay strong. Oh, and if you know anybody that needs a union membership, let us know. We signed up 3 new members the other day. Again, we need to get that message out there. We need to come together, speak with one voice. Merry Christmas.